Nice. Right, let's pop the comments out. Let's make those slightly bigger. Put those over here. And then, actually, what I was going to do here was... let's go for a purchase, sort of first time buyer. Let's go 200. Let's go 180. So that's a 90%. Let's do 25 years. And then let's go for capital and interest. And this will tell me what the rates are doing, what the current rates look like. So, okay. Oh, I can discount that one because that one's there by error. I'm surprised that one's still there. But the cheapest rate you can get for that is 4.69. Interesting. Interesting indeed. So, yes. What's going on here? Is it even working? Is it even working? Hopefully it is. But there we go. There we go. It is working. So, welcome to the Sunday Night Live. Sunday Night Live. Just looking at a bit of rates there. Please can you go through 3 times nationwide mortgage? What do you mean by 3 times? Oh, 6 times nationwide. So you mean 6 times income. Very rarely they actually pay that. Very rarely do you actually get 6 times income. It's just a multiple of your income, really. You're going to have a good credit file, minimum outgoings. Well, no outgoings, essentially. And then you might get a chance of getting close to the 6 times. Normally it's about 5.5. But yeah, they will do 6. But rarely does it actually amount to 6, essentially. But they're the only lender that will, unless you're a professional. And then we're looking at sort of, chartered accountants, chartered architects, all that kind of stuff. Chartered architect? Yeah. All that kind of stuff. And then you might get 6 times. Is it normal for a broker to physically want my passport as document for my mortgage application? I wouldn't say it's normal. We don't. For example, everything we do is remotely. So we would ask for a picture of your passport or a scan of your passport. We'd still want to confirm your identity, i.e. see you, either on video call or something. But no, it's not necessarily normal for a broker to want to physically see it. Does porting existing mortgage come with any charges or fees? No, not normally. No. So when you go... well, it depends. They may charge you a valuation fee. I'm not sure. It very much depends on your lender. But you want to make sure that your mortgage product in the first place is portable. So it does allow it as part of the product. But no, there shouldn't generally be any costs. Do you think I'd be offered a lower mortgage because I'm earning salary in euros and live in the UK? No. If I want to take money out of a buy-to-let, flat has increased in value. That's just additional borrowing. Can I get a retirement mortgage to buy a house instead of a bridging loan? A house on the market now. What do you mean by a retirement mortgage? What do you mean by retirement mortgage? Lower mortgage because I'm paid. Oh, I see what you mean about the euros. If you're paid in euros, do you reckon you get a lower mortgage? So you're going to be limited to the lenders you can go to because not all of them will accept being paid in a currency other than sterling. But the large banks like your HSBCs and that kind of stuff will accept payment in a currency other than sterling. Euros is fine. Dollars is fine. They will put a sort of a caveat on it in terms of exchange rates, so that will have to come into the mix. But you should be all right. A broker recommended you can get a retirement mortgage. I don't know what that is. That's why I'm asking. Well, I would go back to that broker and speak to them because clearly they know more about your situation. do they mean a mortgage running into your retirement if you've got a viable income? Are they talking about equity release? Yeah, they would know more about your situation. If you've spoken to a broker already, go back and ask them the question. I have a call with a lender on Friday. Is there anything I need to know about 5k deposit mortgage? Yeah, you're probably not going to be able to get it because they very rarely give it out. So when you say you've got a call with a lender, I assume you are talking to Yorkshire Building Society. They rarely let anyone onto that product. So good luck, but yeah, I don't think you will be able to access that product. We've had people with the most squeaky clean credit files, and they've not been able to get on it because they're in Yorkshire Building Societies or Accord, who are their sort of intermediary arm. The credit scoring is just massively off the charts. So yeah, very few people get accepted on it. Is there anything similar to a helping hand mortgage offered by Nationwide? All it is higher income multiples and a 95% deposit. There are lenders that do 5.5. There are lenders that are doing 5% deposit mortgages. So yeah, there are others out there, definitely. What kind of stuff contributes to your credit file? Anything. So any lending you've taken, your current accounts, your credit cards, cars on finance, Klarna, anything which is credit related will go on your credit file. Utilities, they go on there. If you pay your insurance monthly, your car insurance, that'll be on a credit report. All kinds of things, loads of things. Have NatWest come down? Yes, during the week they did. Would 2, 3, 5 year fixed terms good, and which one would be good? It totally depends on your individual circumstances. Is Nationwide reducing rates? Not that they've said. Nothing from them yet. No. Mortgage application went in 2 weeks ago. Still waiting. Should I be worried? Depends on the complexity of the application. Depends if they've been able to gain access to a valuation. They 2 weeks. I mean, it's relatively normal. What's the best rate at the moment for a mortgage, for a remortgage? Very much depends on your individual circumstances. It's not necessarily the best rate either. There are many other things that need to be considered other than just rate. There's loads of things. Where a flat's gone up, what can I borrow more for? Stocks, REITs, commercial, or only for one property? Improvements, so home improvements, deposit on a new property, potentially debt consolidation, but it depends whether it's in a personal name or a limited company's name. If you're talking about, it was a buy-to-let one? Yeah, depending on the ownership type. But yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff. Exactly. No one would lend for stocks and shares, quite right. So it's for the property-related stuff. What stage do you pay your deposit? Exchange of contracts. What do you think to 4.26 renewal mortgage, a 5-year fixed? I don't know. I don't know any of your situation, any of your circumstances, so I couldn't possibly comment. I was just looking here at 90% loan to value. Oh no, I didn't even put it down a 5-year fixed. So what's the best 5-year fixed we could get? First time buyer. Best possible rate. So low to high. 4.69. Best possible rate you can get on a 90% loan to value at the moment. So yeah. Our mortgage fixed rate ends in Jan, but we'll be paying it off in full 18 months due to retirement. Any advice? Yes, you need to speak to a mortgage broker to work out what's going to be the best solution for you. We had a talk with Joe last week. It was very helpful. Good stuff. Good to hear. Thank you. Makes sense. You mentioned limited. Could I borrow more for deposit against a property but through limited? Could I borrow more for deposit against a property but... So you could borrow more to secure a deposit. If you're buying it through a limited company, then you need to speak to an accountant as to how that money gets put into the limited company, whether it's going to be a director's loan or something. But yeah, you could buy a property through a limited company with the money you raise as the additional borrowing on the existing one. Yeah. Do you recommend putting down as much deposit as you can for a mortgage? So I can't recommend anything, but I can say it makes sense because the more deposit you put down, the less you're going to have to borrow, and chances are you'll get a better rate. So your repayments are going to be lower. So generally, most deposit you can put in is better. But of course, you might need to keep some back for any fees, any costs, any refurbishment costs, for example. So, put in what you can afford, because that will minimize your borrowing. Be made a director in the last 8 months. How long do lenders like to see? Well, if you're self-employed, you own over 25% of the business, they're going to want to see a year's worth of accounts and tax returns. How's it looking for people with paid off CCJ and no missed payments in the last 2 years? There are options. We have lenders that will do that. Yeah, we've got access to lenders that will be able to cope with a CCJ, depending on when it was, how much it was for, what it was for, all that kind of stuff. And no missed payments in the last 2 years. Yeah, fine. Is the solicitor fees in the mortgage cost when a first-time buyer? No, solicitor fees are paid separately. For new build, should I get a mortgage offer before searching? Get a mortgage in principle, not a mortgage offer. You'll only be able to get a mortgage offer once you know the property, the actual property that the lending is going to be secured against. But get an agreement in principle. Not self-employed, director of a limited company, already got mortgage but thinking of selling. Well, if you're a director of a limited company and you own 25% of it, you are considered self-employed. Would you advise paying off a mortgage with retirement money? I'm not a financial advisor. I can't advise that. I can't comment on that. 20k loan for home improvements. Added good value. Will I suffer for remortgage in March for credit score? You might suffer in terms of affordability because you've got that 20k loan, and of course you have to pay that back. So that's a committed expenditure. So that will reduce the amount you can borrow in theory. So that might be the impact. Credit score is largely irrelevant. It's the conduct of your credit history. So if all that's happened since you got the mortgage in the first place was that additional borrowing and there's no issues with repayments or everything, the credit file will be absolutely fine. It's just that committed expenditure that you have to pay away each month to service the loan can't be used on a mortgage repayment, so it might reduce your affordability a bit. What would be the best rate to get on a 5-year fix for a buy-to-let limited? Very much depends on the situation, on the property, on you as an individual, all kinds of things. Kind of fees. Submitted Barclays mortgage on Friday. How long before they usually send you an offer? I don't know. It depends on the complexity of your case. I borrow friends' money and they paid it back, but I was advised the money in the account is not mine. Right? Okay. I borrowed friends' money and they paid it back. Will a first-time buyer always have a higher interest rate? No. No, you won't. Do lenders only care about committed expenditure? No, they care about general spending, lifestyle spending, all that kind of stuff. Transferring from buy-to-let to residential. What do you mean? There's no question there. It's just a statement. Can I release equity with bad credit? It's additional borrowing, so it will be assessed. It will be checked for affordability. If your lender if their lending criteria doesn't match up with your bad credit, then they won't do it. No. What can stop you getting a mortgage offer? Loads of things. Loads and loads of things. Can you get a mortgage on a 6-month contract? Probably not. Not on that alone. You're going to want to know what were you doing before the contract? What's happening after the contract? Is it going to be renewed? All that kind of stuff. Please, do you mind bringing me up? I have a question. I don't think you understand my text. Bringing you up. What? Can first-time buyer get a buy-to-let? Yes, you can. First-time buyer, first-time landlord. Yes, you can do that. Do I need a solicitor for a remortgage? Potentially not, because a lot of remortgage products, they actually include using the lender solicitors, and they provide that for free. If not, they tend to have a cashback element with them to pay for a solicitor. So there does need to be a solicitor involved in a remortgage. Whether you pay for it or not is another matter. Is withdrawing cash bad for credit? No, wouldn't have thought so. Can I buy a second property with a 10% deposit if my first is on consent to let? Yes. Potentially, yes, you can. Could you do me a favour? And if you're finding this helpful, could you double tap the screen, get some likes? Because what that does is that attracts more people into it, you see. And yeah, then there's more questions you might not have thought about. So yeah, oh, there they go. Thank you very much. I can see that happening. Thank you. All much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do lenders consider a stress test when looking at your bank statements? They consider a stress test when looking at your overall affordability. 2.8k for solicitors, is that average? It depends on what you're doing. I mean, for a first-time buyer, let's say a first-time buyer, purchase price around 250, 300. The solicitor's costs in total are about 18 to 1900. So it depends. Are you doing a buy and a sale, a purchase and a sale in that as well? That might include a bit of stamp duty. I don't know. How long do you have to be back in work to obtain a mortgage? There are lenders that will give you a mortgage on a signed employment contract. There's a few of them, not many. Others will want 1 month pay slips. Others want 3 months. But there are ones that can do it. I can see all the heart still going, and it's wow. Geez, that's gone up quick. It was on 300 when I last looked. It's now on 2.2k. Crikey, well, thanks for that, everyone. That's really good. Thank you. And the other thing I like hearing is this thing behind me ticking away as more people follow. So don't be shy and hit the follow button. Thought you didn't have to pay stamp duty as a first-time buyer. You do if it's over a certain threshold. Do I need a solicitor to pay off my mortgage? You will need a solicitor to update the deeds of the property to remove the charge of the lender on there. Yes. How do I prove a 3k cash deposit into my account? I was given it by hand. So you will need a letter from the person who gave you the gift to say, I gifted such and such a deposit, and here it is. I'm a first-time buyer. I'm always at the stage of exchanging contracts. If rates reduce, can I get one new rate? If the rates reduce, you can purchase and you could potentially get a new rate on your product. Your broker will be able to go in and change it for you up until a week or two before completion. First time buyer here, got 27k deposit and 24 salary. Would I be able to afford a property of 180? No, I don't think so. Don't think so. No, you won't. How long is probate taking roughly at the moment? Probate is nothing to do with mortgages. So could you tell me, please, what's the difference between a remortgage with broker versus myself? Oh, you can do it all yourself, of course. You can do it all yourself, but do you have access to the whole market? Do you know that you're going to be going to the right lender for your needs? Do you know you're going to fit the lender's lending criteria? You can do it all yourself. That's absolutely fine. But if you use a broker, it's going to save you a lot of hassle, and you can be confident that you're going to be having the right solution for your needs. Nationwide now offering 7 times on salary, or they're going to be. No, they're not. No, they're not. All inquiries satisfied. Survey done. Just checking proof of deposit. What else is left? Well, it depends. Are you buying in a chain? If you're buying in a chain, then you've got to rely on the rest of their checks and everything being done. But yeah, I mean, sounds like most stuff's been done. What's some of the good things freelancers can do to look good to mortgage lenders? Have 2 or more years worth of accounts. How long does a consent to let last, or can you keep renewing when due the mortgage? No, when it comes to the end of the mortgage deal, they're not gonna renew it. You're either gonna have to go on a buy to let mortgage or stop the consent to let. How much deposit is reasonable for a 300k property? 10%, potentially 5%. Assuming we are on very good salaries and good credit, you might get away with 5% then. Yeah. Can you use equity in a property as a deposit? No, you can't. You have to have okay, there's ways to look at your question. There's different scenarios that could be asked in. If you are selling a property and you're getting proceeds of sale from that, then that can be used as a deposit. If you own a property and there's equity in it and you're going to keep that there, you can't effectively secure a deposit against the equity in that property, if that makes sense. But yeah, if you're selling and moving, the proceeds of sale can be a deposit. Can I get a mortgage if I'm employed and self-employed at the same time? Yes. Whether a lender will take both incomes into account is another question. You have to find a lender that would, and you're going to need to have at least 1 year's accounts filed for the self-employed side of it to take that into account. God, those likes have gone up even more. Crikey. Thank you for those. Is it better to overpay 1,200 in one pay or 100 each month? I'll go 100 each month because the interest is calculated on a daily basis. So by paying the £100, you're then paying less interest the next day. So it will make quite a difference. Saw your video about rates reduction. You mentioned NatWest. What's it gone down to? 75% equity. I don't know. I haven't looked. Literally, we get notice. There was no specific details in that email, and I've not done a new business inquiry with NatWest since that email. How times in your salary to get a mortgage? Generally, it's 4.5, but there are instances where you can get 5, 5.5, sometimes 6. We're self-employed couple. Can we get a mortgage? As long as you've got at least 1 year's accounts and tax returns filed, then yes, you can. And a deposit. Is it worth putting my 1-bedroom flat on the market at this time? I'm a mortgage advisor, so do what you want. That's up to you. I can't comment on that. Thank you for the follows. Every time someone follows, I know it's happening because I can hear the thing behind me ticking over. And it's pretty cool. What's it on now? 396. Ooh, can we get to 400 by the end of the live? That'll be the target. Oh, crikey, come on. Hopefully a few people have just followed. Hopefully it's going to tick over now. What's going to happen? We need four to get there. There's a little bit of a delay on it. So, yeah, a few people have just followed. So let's see it. Go on, update. Come on. I'm keeping my eye on it. Me and my husband are migrants. Can we get a mortgage of 5k deposit? You'll struggle. Oh, wow. There we go. Look at that. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Would you recommend getting a 2-year mortgage right now or 5-year? I would only be able to recommend that if I knew your full circumstances, because it's down to individual circumstances. Because of work situations, we can't get one till March, but found our dream home. Right? If you can't get one due to work circumstances, you're going to have to wait. Why can't you get a mortgage due to work circumstances? What's the problem? I feel like it's getting harder to buy a house, and I'm in my 30s. Yeah, I mean, houses, obviously, the prices are going up. Therefore, you need the deposit. Therefore, you need the borrowing. You need the salary to finance that. So, yeah, I mean, potentially are. Am I best paying my 80k mortgage off with a loan? I wouldn't. I can't recommend that. We have 40k despite and 3 years tax return as self-employed. I'm 43, 53. Can we get a mortgage? Yeah, I mean, because that's 10% of 400k. It just depends. Yeah, what your accounts show. 3 years is great because you're then going to have a good choice of lenders that will go off that. So yeah, I would certainly think you could do. Yeah, it would all need to be properly assessed, but I can't see any real reasons why you can't. Feel free to get in touch and we can look at it for you. How come mortgage offer is given before searches and survey? Well, it's not going to be, because survey is something that you pay for your benefits. Searches are a legal thing. The mortgage offer is there, so it says you can have the money on the basis that all the legal stuff stacks up, essentially. A survey is something you pay for. The lender would have done their own valuation for their purposes. So, yeah, they're not entirely linked in terms of time frame. What's the best mortgage repayment or interest only? It totally depends on your situation. When's Nationwide bring their fixed rates down? When they want to. Are NHS discounts still available for North Wales buying a house? I don't know. I think what you're thinking about there is the what's it called? First homes discount, something like that for key workers. That's a government scheme you need to look into. Is 5.22 high for first time buyer 10% deposit? Well, I'm looking at the rates in front of me now, and you can certainly get a lot better than 5.22. I mean, I could get you a rate for 4.69, but there may be reasons why you're on 5.22. This is a prime example of why everyone's situation is different. So if that's what you've been offered, that's suggesting me there's reasons for it, whether it be a credit history or something. But yeah, there are other options, but you might not suit those options. I have a lifetime ISA and my partner has a Help to Buy ISA. Do we still need to get a new build? No, you don't need to get a new build for either of those. Can you still get a mortgage if both have bad credit? It depends what you mean by bad credit. We need to be specific. So what is the issue on the credit file? What is it? Are we talking defaults, missed payments, CCJs? It's very dependent on what the actual issues are. How quick can a mortgage application go from submission to accepted? 24 hours, I've seen it done. Other times it can take a month or two. Just really depends on the lender, your situation, and all that kind of stuff. Cleared overdraft 2 months ago. When will my previous overdraft usage have less impact? Right now, straight away. As soon as that overdraft was clear, you could be fine. Few missed payments, but nothing in the last year. As long as that's it, then yeah, you'd be fine generally. 3-year-old unsettled default, valuation book with Nationwide, good sign, no other lender gave a dip. 3-year-old unsatisfied default Nationwide, that's probably not going to offer. Nationwide won't accept a 3-year-old default. How long does solicitors take after search has been completed? I don't know. I need something for Wednesday. If I put in tomorrow, do you think I'll be cool? No. You're not going to get a mortgage offer in 3 days. Not at these times. What is the best rate going on the market for fixed interest mortgage? It very much depends on your sit. There's so many variables that go into it. And there's no point me telling you a rate because you might not even qualify for it. So you need to speak to a mortgage broker to find the best, not necessarily rate, but the best product for your needs and your situation. Best to clear bank loans and credit cards before applying, and how long to wait before they apply. So in theory, yes, it is best to clear them, but it may be possible to do it even with they're still there, because you can still get a mortgage with debts, be it credit cards or loans, whatever in place. It just affects your affordability. But if you do want to clear them, and of course it makes things even better, it would take probably 2 or 3 months for that to feed through on a credit file. But if you've got settlement letters, or you can show a statement from your credit card company showing zero balance, then we could present that to the lender and say, look, they have been cleared, so it's all fine. Can you put parents on guarantor if partner has passed IVA? It really depends on the lender. You need to find a lender that does that. When you say past IVA, the longer ago it was, the better the chances. If they're still an IVA, absolutely no chance. If you're within 12 months, minimal chance. But more time, yeah, you might be able to. Chance of a mortgage after being made bankrupt 12 years ago. Yes, you should be fine. Yeah. Why would lender pass credit check? Wait till it goes to the underwriter and they'll see it and then just decline it. What's the maximum term for a mortgage? Whatever, as if you've got a viable form of income, you can have them 40, 45 years maybe. Are you seeing rates drop, and do you think there'll be a decent drop until January? No, it's not going to be a decent drop. There's not going to be anything big. We're seeing slight reductions now, but this is what we're going to see, I think. General fluctuations like that. We're kind of at a relatively settled period. I think this is normal now. This is our new normal. So you will see rates go up and down depending on market conditions, but don't expect anything drastic. Even a settled default for 3 years ago, nationwide. Let me have a look. Let me get my little criteria checker. This will give us a definitive. I may be surprised. I very much doubt it though. So if we're looking for a unsatisfied default. Default unsatisfied. Unsatisfied default. Let's go with a 1. Nationwide. Here we are. Be decided consider applicants with unsatisfied discount. They'll consider it. They will consider it exactly, which means when it goes to underwriting, they'll probably decline it. Thank you for those follows, and thank you for those. Wow, 9.6 thousand. That's loads. That's loads. Buy to let mortgage rates higher? Not necessarily. They may be slightly higher if you're buying a limited company. Can you get a remortgage with debt? Yes, you can, assuming your affordability stacks up. You can. Can you get a mortgage for an old council tower building flat? Potentially. There are things you need to consider there, though, such as, are there many privately owned properties there, or are most of them still council owned? Also lease, terms on the lease, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you could be able to, as long as everything stacks up. There are lenders that will do it. What time is it? 20 past 6. Right. It's gone quiet. It's quiet this evening. It's normally busier on a Sunday night. Everyone's probably still putting their Christmas trees up. Or it's getting Christmas and people don't want to talk about this stuff, which is totally understandable. We want to buy a house about 500. How much deposit should we make? As much as you can. But you need the income to back it up. Thoughts on current swap rates and impact you think it will have on the market? Well, the swap rates always have an impact on the market. And when did I last look? They were up a tiny bit last time I looked on Friday. But again, we're in a relatively settled period. We are going to have slight ups and downs, but it's largely going to remain pretty static. Do we need to have a decision in principle before offering on a property? Technically, no. But some estate agents may want you to have one. It makes sense to have one because you then know how much you can offer. You can know how much you can afford. So yeah, I would get one before offering on a property. Estate agents may well want to see one. Minimum deposit in 500. What? 82,000 a year combined with 100k deposit. All previous debts paid off. What can we borrow? I don't know, because I don't know anything other than your situation. I can't give you an accurate figure. You might, I mean, if you, to be on the safe side, times the 82 by 4.5, that's how much you'll be able to borrow. But, it depends on what your committed expenditures are, all that kind of stuff. Is Moneybox MIP reliable? No, because a mortgage in principle is reliant on you putting the information in correctly, declaring all your income correctly, declaring all your debts correctly. Get a mortgage broker to do it, because then it's going to be reliable. And also, if you go through Moneybox, they're just going to put you in touch with one of their backhand advisors. How many mortgages do you do each year? Loads. I've never counted. Yeah, Moneybox have brokers. Yeah, exactly. They're backhand brokers. Always use independent. Can I use crypto profit for deposit? No, lenders don't like it. Oh, what's this? Money laundering has to be down before or after. Well, you shouldn't do any money laundering. Don't do any money laundering at all. I have a mortgage off with Barclays. Has just lost my job. Will it still go through? You need to tell them, and therefore it won't. You need to tell them. Otherwise, that's mortgage fraud. You have to tell them that you've lost your job, and they will withdraw the offer. You can't continue knowing that you've lost your job. How much do you think a 200k mortgage would cost per month these days? I can't answer that question because there's too many variables that go into it. What do I need for first-time buyer for buy-to-let? 25% deposit. You're going to need some income yourself. What else are you going to need? Hello, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton has just said hello. Nice to see you, Bill Clinton. I would have thought you'd be a bit more busier, but clearly not. What's a good amount to save on average before buying? At least 5% deposit. You'll get away with that. Ideally 10% deposit, because then you'll have access to all lenders. How can I press the solicitors to speed up the process? You can't. The process with the solicitors takes as long as it takes. People seem to have this thought that solicitors just sit around waiting for the phone to ring for someone to chase them on a case before they'll do anything. But it's not the case. They progress at their own pace. So there's no point chasing a solicitor because the time they have to waste replying to things. They will be in touch with you when there's something to report. Are lifetime mortgages available? Do you mean a fixed mortgage for the lifetime of the mortgage? Yes, they are. They are indeed. Any chance of mortgage after a year as a sole trader? Yes. Yes, you can. 1 year's worth of accounts, you should be able to do that. Yes. I had 3 late payments 3 years ago. Will this affect me applying for a mortgage? It will do, but not hugely. We'll be able to find a lender that will accommodate that. What's the difference between joint borrower and sole proprietor and guarantor? Not a lot, really. It's just the modern day terminology, I suppose. Guarantor stuff, it really isn't. It's not the done saying. It's JBSP. How many people can you have on a mortgage now? Some lenders will allow 4 people on the mortgage. They may only take 2 incomes into account, though. Are there any lenders that will take... I think there might be a lender that will take 4 into account. 4 incomes. So, yeah. Right, it's quiet for a Sunday evening. Very quiet. While it's quiet. Oh, is it harder to get a mortgage with a mate? We're looking to both buy a buy-to-let. Not necessarily, no. No, as long as you've got decent credit files, you've got the deposit there, you've got the income to support it, then yeah. Vodafone says there are no late payments as per our record, but credit has got. Solution? A solution would be to rewrite that in English and try again. Never had a mortgage but benefited from a property sale. Am I still a first-time buyer? No. Well, hang on. How have you benefited from a property sale? Have you been gifted a sum of cash from the proceeds of that sale? If that's the case, then yeah, you probably would be a first-time buyer. If you were on the deeds of that property and therefore you got some money out the back of it, then no, you wouldn't be a first-time buyer. Can you have a debt when applying for a mortgage? Yes, you can. Does most of your business clients come from TikTok exposure? A fair proportion does, yeah. Otherwise, it just comes through the website or word of mouth or friends and family or from other stuff we do, because we do will writing and then we get stuff off the back of that as well. Has Halifax announced rate? Has Halifax announced rate drops? No, I don't think so. We had quite a few last week, so I'm trying to remember who it was. I don't think we had in Halifax. No. God, I'm trying to remember. It was really busy last week as well, so I was all over the place, so I wasn't really looking at the rate reduction emails. Gifted money. I put it into property years ago, but never on the deeds or mortgage. You put it into the property, but you're never on the... If you weren't on the deeds, then yeah, you should be a first-time buyer, I'd have thought. Yeah. I have a CCJ coming off credit file next year. Is it best to wait until then to apply for the mortgage? You'll be able to do it now. There wouldn't be a problem doing it now. But yeah, of course, if you wait till it's off the credit file, then even better. But you would have an option to do it now. Philip, if you'd like a potential client, I'd appreciate an answer. Ask a question then. Ask a question, and if I see it, I'll answer it. They do go through and I sometimes miss them. Apologies. Do you think less houses will be up for sale due to stamp duty changes? Potentially, yeah. We have been seeing quite a rush of applicants to get it done. But now, I mean, you're going to really be pushing it if you wanted to get one done now. So it will either affect the prices or it'll affect buyers' demand. So we'll have to keep an eye out, wait and see. How does it getting a mortgage as a single person, 30k a year? Do bonuses get counted? Bonus can be taken into account as income, yes. It's no more difficult being a single person than a joint income, a joint application. The difference is obviously a single applicant just has the one income to use. A joint application has the combined benefit of the of those incomes. What's the best rate for 19% loan to value? Well, it's going to be a 60% or below, and it would really depend on your individual circumstances as to what the rate will be. So I can't tell you a rate because I don't know what your situation is. Oh, no worries, TBBZ00. I've not seen one question from you, so calm down. How long do you need to build up credit score for mortgage? Well, your credit file lasts for 6 years. It's a rolling 6-year thing. So whatever's on your sixth thing. Let me scroll back and see this TBZZ. How much is an MIP? They don't cost anything. There you go. They don't cost anything. We're getting our keys shortly. Nice work. Nice work. Yeah, so credit score is a rolling thing. Credit file is a rolling thing. So it's whatever's in the previous 6 years that will be shown. How do lenders look at credit file without 6 years worth of history? He's moved to the UK. That'll be all right. They'll just look at it and take a view on it. They'll want last 6 years, last 3 years of history, address history. So if that's outside the UK, we'll have to put that in. But yeah, credit file wise, they'll just have to do their checks based on the data they've got for you. Ooh. I can hear trouble outside. Is it possible to apply for 2 mortgages in the same or next year buy to let? Yes, you can do. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fine. So a lot of people might do it. Think of there's a thing called let to buy, whereby you've got your current address. You might remortgage that onto a buy to let mortgage, and then get a new mortgage for residential purpose. That stuff, it all happens in the same sort of time frame. Do solicitors also need to see bank statements? Yeah, they'll need to see where your deposit has come from, so they'll ask to see the bank statements for that, or proof of where it's come from. How far do you work up to Christmas? All of it. Being self-employed, I work all the time pretty much. Been working today. We were meant to be in Center Parcs all this weekend, but we were there on Saturday, and we got sent an email saying we've closed, so everyone's got to go home. So we arrived at Center Parcs on Friday at about 5 o'clock in the evening, and we left there at 11:30 yesterday morning. Everything was shut. Everything was shut, and it was just littered with branches everywhere. I think even a couple of trees fell down into a couple of the lodges, so it was pretty unsafe, so we had to go. Yeah, so wasn't really planning on working much this weekend, but yeah, did a bit yesterday, did some today. I've applied for NatWest Mortgage and survey has been arranged. What the next step? It's not a survey that's been arranged, it's been a valuation has been arranged, and that's a valuation for their purposes, not yours. If you want a survey, you're going to have to pay for that separately. What are the next steps? Well, they've got to underwrite it all. They've got to look at the output of the valuation report, all that kind of stuff. I might contact you in a week's time. Ian, if you do want to get in touch, I'd suggest booking in now because the diary does fill up quickly. Even if it's for a couple of weeks' time, book something in now. You can do so by going to there's up here, right about there, in the TikTok bio. If you click the face and go into my bio, if it's on the live, you might have to click my face and then click it again. There's a link that says book a call and more. Click that, and it's the top one that comes up. You can book a call straight into our diaries. So yeah, I would do that sooner rather than later because it does fill up quickly. Anything on Nationwide reducing rates? No. Applying for a mortgage in the next few months. Is a bank account switch now a bad idea? Yes. Because it will affect your credit history. There'll be a change on the credit report. Say a bill doesn't get paid, then that might be a slight blip on the credit file before it gets corrected. I would just hold off on that kind of stuff. Offer accepted, but can't get an appointment with a broker for application till Friday. Would this be a problem? No, that'll be fine. No. You just have to tell the estate agents that, look, or just, you don't need, for us, if you've had an offer accepted, you just email us the details and we'll put the application in. You wouldn't really need to speak to us. Our process would go that we speak to you, give you a decision in principle, and then when you've made an offer, you just send us through all the information and we'll crack on with the application. I don't know why you'd have to speak to a broker to get an application in by Friday. Assuming you've got a broker and they've already done you an agreement in principle and stuff, you should just be able to send them the details of the purchase price and they can crack on with it. My solicitors asked for the funds next week. Does that mean I'll get the key soon? Not necessarily, because they've asked for the funds because that's probably exchange of contracts is coming up, because your deposit needs paying at exchange of contracts. It depends how long after that completion will be. 85k wages, but terrible credit score. Got one kid and no debt. Did some gambling years ago. Mortgage. I don't know. What's the reasons for the terrible credit score? That's what we need to know. Do you find you've had more business since being on TikTok and doing lives? Yes. Yeah. Doing this for a few years now. It's taken a lot of years to get. Is Christmas spending taken into account when applying for a mortgage this time of year? Not really, but ensure your spending is sensible. So don't. One sec. Don't overspend. Don't go over credit limits. Don't let direct debits bounce or anything like that. Just be sensible. Already AIP appointments with first mortgages, but they need an appointment rather than email. First mortgages for you then. There you go. You should work with a better mortgage broker. But there you go. You'll know for next time. I just got a mortgage of 5.07. Okay. Mortgage issued last week. Will the lender recheck credit or statements before completion? Yes. Yes, they'll likely do a credit check before completion. They will. That does sound like a very backward process that they need to speak to you to do a. If they've done the ARP and they've spoken to you, done all the fact find, know your situation, you should just be able to email them the details and say, crack on with it. Just go back to them and say, look, you haven't got an appointment, so crack on with it now. It needs doing. I bet they'll soon free up an appointment for you. Or say, do it, or we're going to someone else who we can speak to today and get the mortgage sorted out. I bet they'll soon free up an appointment for you. What time is best to call the number on your profile? During working out office hours. Send an email. Send an email, though. Is that worth after 21st November? What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? To buy? Is it... What? Is that worth after 21st of November to buy? Really don't understand that. Fixed for 2 years at 5.4. Is this a mistake considering I'll be significantly lower soon? I doubt it'll be significantly lower soon, but surely your broker would have advised what the best thing to do was. It sounds quite expensive for a 2 year. Let me have a look. Let me change this to a 2 year. This is 90% loan to value. Yeah, you see, that does seem quite high. Oh well. That does seem a bit... But there may be a reason for it. I mean, 5.4. Who do I get at 5.4? Who do I get at 5.4? Accord, Halifax, Co-op. Accord is the only one at 5.4. That's a broker exclusive rate, though. But there's loads below 5.4. How much damage does it do if your mortgage application gets rejected? Well, it's going to be a hard search on your credit file. So, yeah, it can do damage. But again, this is the problem of trying to do it yourself. If you go to a broker, you'll likely get it sorted without multiple applications. We had to fix with Halifax because we ported the other half on more. Oh, I see. So you're out of sync with your two sub accounts on your mortgage. That's the problem with additional borrowing. So yeah, that's the problem. Vodafone says there's no late payments as per their record, but credit file has got. Solution: contact the credit file people. Tell them there's an error. I got 5.36 for 2 years. Yeah, there you go. Still, yeah, a lot. But again, it's down to circumstances, and maybe that lender was the most suitable for your needs. It's not all about rate, but there are lower rates than that. Remortgage ends the 1st of March. Is it worth waiting until later in the year for cuts due later? There are no cuts due. There are no cuts due in fixed rates. You can't say there are rates cuts due. What I would do is lock in a rate now, because they may even go up. So if you lock in a rate now, you'll be protected from it. And if the rates go down, then your broker can change it down for you. And therefore, you've lost nothing, but you've protected yourself from further increases. There is talk of Bank of England base rate cuts, but that doesn't necessarily feed through to fixed rates. 5.7. I could beat 5. I can get you a rate starting with a 4 for a 2 year fixed, if you want. But again, it's all down to me against the world. You're referring to Bank of England base rate cuts there. That doesn't necessarily feed through into the fixed rates, because the fixed rates go off something else, which are called SONIA swap rates, which are largely market conditions, lending conditions, and their future projections of base rates. So I would suggest locking in something now, protect yourself from any further increases, and if the rates go down, your broker can reduce it. Does a 0% deposit mortgage become more obtainable after a certain amount of time renting? There's only one lender that will do it, and you need to have at least 12 months rental history with them. I can't say if your rate is good or not, because I don't know in any circumstances. It's all dependent on situation. And remember, it's not all. The rate is not the be all and end all. There are a lot more things that go into it rather than just the rate. I saw a news article that said NatRate has lowered their mortgage rates in the last few days. You did. You read correctly. Are lenders likely to offer better rate than competition after 5 years to stop me changing lenders? Not necessarily. No, not necessarily. It will be their rates at the time based on what they're borrowing their money at, what their appetite is to retain customers or not. So not necessarily. So it's always worth shopping around. So if you come to us, say you're coming to the end of your fixed term deal, we will look at the options that have been presented to you from your existing lender. They would be called a product transfer if you went down that route. We would also compare them to the rates in the market, which will be a remortgage. We'd also incorporate all the other costs and then work out what is the best solution for you, and then tell you what the best solution would be. So it's an all-encompassing set. Also, we don't charge for a product transfer. They are gratis. I need to start putting people on notice as well that our fees are going up in January, I'm afraid. Going from 349 to 399. Do I need a job and stable income for a remortgage? Absolutely. Are you likely to get a better rate for remortgaging if you got less lending against you? Potentially, yes, because if you had high amounts of debt to income or something when you originally applied, you may have been limited to certain lenders. So if that has now changed, also your loan to value on your property may have changed. So you might open up the doors into other lenders, other loan to value rates. So yeah, it's always worth a good look. Absolutely. Do you need job and pay slips for a product transfer? Not usually. However, it's not. There's nothing to stop them asking for them if they require them. You are more than welcome, Jordan. You are more than welcome. What lender has the best fixed rate at the minute? The best lender for you and your circumstances. Can I fix any given time? I'm currently on a tracker. If you're on a tracker, then chances are yes, but look at your paperwork because it might have an early repayment charge if you come out of, because a lender may want you to commit to them for a certain number of years. Some trackers do not have early repayment charges. Some do. For example, I'm pretty much sure none of Barclays do. Other lenders do have early repayment charges though. So if you've got that, then it's probably not worthwhile changing. However, if you've not got an early repayment charge, then yeah, you can do. Get in touch and we can have a look at it all for you if you would like. I live in a council flat nearly 5 years. Do I get 50% discount? I don't know. You need to contact the council and ask them. If you have 25% deposit, what rate do you roughly looking at for 5-year fixed? Can't tell you because it depends on individual circumstances. But it's a good deposit size to have. So you will certainly get, I mean, let's change. Oh, let's have a look. I mean, I shouldn't do it. So you're going to be looking at 75% loan to value. Let's have a look. 5-year fixed. 5-year fixed. Now, this is, I don't know any of your situation at all. No details about it. But 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, that's the kind of stuff. That kind of stuff. I bought a house and didn't use my first time buyer scheme. If I buy a flat, can I use my scheme? What scheme? Didn't use your first time buyer scheme? What are you talking about? You're no longer a first time buyer anyway. Didn't you? No one has a first time buyer scheme. What is the average FP rate? There isn't an average rate because it's all on individual circumstances. Currently on 5.101. Do I think rates drop? No one can tell you. No one can say. I think, I mean, there's just so much going on in the world that can affect it. So that it's just so difficult to predict, I'm afraid. Can you get a bit to let as self-employed? Yes, you can. You will need accounts and tax returns to prove your income, though. Keep up the good job. Thank you, Bob. Had to cancel our current HSBC application and get a new one with them. Is it normal to get referred? Potentially, yeah. Because they may see two quick applications going in. Do we, as customer, pay the mortgage broker, or it is who you get the mortgage from that pay a fee? So we charge a fee. We also get paid by the lenders. Some mortgage brokers don't charge a fee, others do. It varies from zero up to a couple of £1,000. So certainly worth looking around. We charge a fee because we know the service we offer is good value. We are contactable 7 days a week, in the evenings and all that kind of stuff, not just office hours. We take difficult cases. So if you use one of these brokers that I call them pile them high, sell them cheap, that don't charge a fee, they rely on just churning over work really quickly. So as soon as it gets complex, they kind of pretty much just drop it and don't run with it. Whereas we will work hard to get that done, because also we only charge our fee when we get you a formal mortgage offer. So of course it's in our interest to work hard and get you that offer. But yeah. Do you think we could complete by the 1st of March with an offer tomorrow? First time buyers, no change. Possibly, if the world's aligned. You are cutting it very, very fine now. If I get approved for a 5k deposit mortgage, can I use the Help to Buy ISA savings? Yeah, but I can pretty much guarantee you're not going to get approved. No one gets approved onto that product. Honestly, we've done a few. They've not been approved. I spoke to Joe, who's one of the advisors, who did one recently, and he was like, I really don't know why. It's like rocking horse shit getting accepted onto one of them. Can I get a deposit to buy another house from my current house equity whilst I sell current? Yeah, so that'll be proceeds of sale. Yeah, so whatever the difference is, whatever equity you get out of it, the proceeds of sale. So once your mortgage is paid off, whatever's left is yours. Then yeah, you can use that as a deposit, pay fees, clear debts, whatever you want. It's your money. Your money to do what you want with. But yeah, you can use that as a deposit, absolutely. Coming to an end of my 5-year fix, thinking of overpaying 10% before I get a new rate. Is it worth it? Overpayments are always worth it. What ISAs are good for someone who's just started to set? I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you. If you're wanting to save for a property, first time buyer, you might want to get a lifetime ISA. Buying a house before I've sold. Can you explain the extra stamp duty costs? How I apply for the refund? I don't know. So the extra stamp duty costs, you're going to pay normal stamp duty plus an additional 5%. Once that has, once it's all gone through and the other one's been sold, then you have to apply for a refund. I don't exactly know how you do it. You would have to request that from HMRC. Your solicitor will be able to help you with it though. So Help to Buy ISA is pointless. Who said that? Why is it pointless? It's not pointless. As long as you buy below the threshold that they set, then you should get your bonus. Right. Instead of overpaying, save for a secondary property. Don't listen to Liam. Right, I think I'm going to have to go because it is Sunday evening and the usual Sunday evening activities need to be done, such as reading, homework, times tables, rock stars, showers, baths, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you ask your question now because I'm about to head off. If you're not following, follow and make the ticker thing. Hang on, where's my... There you go. I can see where my finger's on now. Make the ticker thing go over. So I'm about to go. So make sure you're following. Hit the follow button and you will see, is overpaying worth it with only 4 years left? Yes, because you'll reduce the time. If you overpay, you'll reduce the amount of time left to pay. So it's absolutely worth overpaying. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for all of them. I can hear that thing ticking over in the background as we go on. Before I go, let me just point you in the direction of the link that is in the bio, and tell you that from there you can book in a call directly into our diaries if there's something we can help you with. You can also book in a call and we can write your will for you, because it's very important to do that, particularly if you've got children. Because if you die without a will, your children get taken into care. So yeah. Does overpaying reduce your term or monthly amount? It depends what you want to do. So if you're in a fixed term deal, you overpay, your payments and everything's going to remain the same. When you come to remortgage, the balance you're going to have to repay or remortgage is less. So you can opt to reduce the term or refinance less money, and therefore it will, be less. So it works in a couple of ways. Dear, got another moron he's blocking. So yeah, do feel free to book stuff in. You can also download our free first time buyer's guide from their Opinions on Shared Ownership. I've done a video relatively recently in my profile, so go and check that out. That should cover that one for you. I think it was titled Thoughts on Shared Ownership. So check that one out, because that might tell you the answers you're looking for. But yeah, I'm going to go now. So thank you very much for your questions. Thank you for following. If you have done, if you haven't done, I encourage you to follow. Yeah, I do. And hopefully I can speak to you at some point soon. And if not, if you don't pop up before Christmas, then have a great Christmas.